Blog Talk Radio.
I'm getting down to the sum of this, the sum of that, the sum of everything.
Come,
All right, day 28. This is Miami Six Man, Chris C. I'm a day late on the show as we had a loss in the family. We hit the road for a very long road trip to pay our final respects, and as we do this, it's not lost on me, and it occurs to me that there's plenty of people involved with Scientology, whether they're ex-Scientologists or current Scientologists, that don't ever get that opportunity to pay their final respects. And a lot of times they don't find out till it's too late about that loss, and if they find out at all. It's with this in mind, I take you to part one of my three-part, very candid conversation with the truly remarkable Cathy Schenkelberg. Enjoy. All right, folks, I'm very happy and very lucky to have this guest today. It should be a pretty good and fun interview because she's a wonderful lady. She's fun, she's nice, she's friendly, but she's also got a heck of a story. It's not a joke, and we're going to get into the whole thing here. Please welcome ex-Scientologist. You might want to call her a Scientologist survivor. It's Cathy Schenkelberg. Am I saying that right? Schenkelberg?
That's close. It's a long name. It's Schenkelberg.
Schenkelberg.
Intimidating.
I just can't talk.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
All right. So well, let me ask you, how are you doing right now at this moment? How are things going for you?
Oh, things are really good. I'm traveling with my show that I wrote, Squeeze My Cans, and I'm excited about the future of it. We've been trying to book it. My director and I have been trying to get it booked in other venues, and it's getting a lot of word of mouth, great reviews, and sell out. We've sold out at the Fringe and in Chicago, and then we're heading to Indiana. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, did it start out like in California, and then word of mouth got out, and it got bigger? Chicago wanted it, and then I think Indiana wanted it.
Well, actually, I workshopped it. I got into Scientology in Chicago. I was in my early 20s, and so I wanted to bring it back to Chicago, to the place that I got into Scientology in the early 90s, and workshop it and try it out here because I'm surrounded. I'm a theater person. My degree's in musical theater, and I was an actress, a voiceover and commercial actor here in Chicago, and so I had a lot of community here that embraced me before I was in Scientology, when I was in, and after I got out. So I thought this would be the best place to start it.
Oh, no, excellent, definitely. I have not read a terrible or a bad review about it. Of course, I haven't read any reviews from the perspective of the Scientology church, but definitely all but good things. Anything looking good for Florida? I'd like to go see that show.
Oh, you have no idea. I'm working on getting it into Tampa and St. Petersburg, Florida. I worked at American Stage in St. Petersburg a couple years ago. I did God of Carnage there. Carla Hartley was the director.
Okay.
And, yes, I'm trying to get it into Tampa and Clearwater. I've been approached by a couple different places further south near Miami, and I'm hoping for Sarasota. I would love to bring it to Florida because I spent so much time doing my Scientology spiritual, journey in Clearwater, Florida.
That's right. Right, I've driven past that building. It's a nice looking building, but it is kind of scary. You see the guys in the white shirts and the tan shorts walking around with the keyboards.
Yeah, I feel like in Clearwater, it's funny because when I was in Scientology, I owned a place there that I had my parents come to, and it was kind of on the water in the Gulf area, on the bay, Gulf to Bay area. And when you're in, you don't quite realize it, and then when you're out, you go, "Whoa, that's effed up."
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to get into that. If you don't mind, I'm going to kind of do a progression through recruitment all the way through. Without, I'm not going to hit every single little detail of your experience, but some of the highlights and things that people hear on the outside, and how some might be blown out of proportion, and some may somehow be right on point, and just find out what's real and what's not. which I guess is something you go through also as a Scientologist when you start to realize a few things.
Right.
I think there's a stigma, and I mentioned this to you before we started recording. I wanted it to be clear that I'm never going to ask you any questions or say anything that sounds like I'm questioning your intelligence. I know that the mindset of most people who've never been approached with or been part of a gang or part of a cult or part of anything negative don't understand how anyone could end up in something like that. But we also have knowledge. We're privy to stuff you weren't privy to the day you got recruited. Scientology wasn't known the way it's known today, publicly.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand. Go ahead.
It was really, it's funny because I had been acting, booking a few commercials here and there. I did a lot of live industrial trade shows, if you know what that is, song and dance stuff. And I waited tables, and I was like, I got to do something that, I just felt like I was being selfish. Everything was kind of geared towards me. Even though I was young and trying to create a career for myself, I interviewed for the Peace Corps. And I thought, well, this would be a group that I could go away for a year and maybe build houses or help in some way. And I was at an audition, and I met an actress who I had done a commercial with the year before, and I really liked her, and she was beautiful and successful. And she asked me how I was doing, and I started to cry. It was one of those days. I was probably premenstrual, God knows. And she said, hey, do you have time for coffee? I want to tell you about something that's helped me. And so we met for coffee, and literally we were at I remember it was the Lennox House in Chicago on Ohio. It's not there anymore. And we had coffee for 10 hours. And by the end of it, she told me about Dianetics, the book Dianetics. And I had heard about it before but never stepped in. And I left with that book. And then I had an appointment to meet somebody who was a Scientology auditor or counselor.
Right.
And that's how it started. It was started real basic, small courses, really nice people.
Was it called Scientology, or did he bring it in under a different kind of a name for the studies?
It's called the Life Improvement Center. It was called the Life Improvement Center, although I did know that I did understand after asking questions, and of course I had to study on course to learn this. As Dianetics studied the mind, and Scientology is a study of the spirit. So, and that it was considered a religion, but it's non-denominational. So I was raised Catholic, and I thought, well, okay, so I don't have to, I can be whatever I want to be and still practice this technology or this stuff. And that's basically how it started. In the beginning, it was just a no-brainer. It was like everybody said I was awesome and you're so great. And I'm like, who doesn't want to be told that?
Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting about it is you said something in your own volunteer statement there that kind of points to how it all starts with, and I keep saying cult. I know you've called it a cult before. It starts with they saw that sign of weakness. You broke down crying in front of somebody that was looking to recruit you.
You find your ruin. What's your ruin in life? Well, I want to help people. Well, guess what? This is the group that can help mankind.
We're going to help
this
everybody.
Is the group that yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. And for open up credit cards and wire some money. But I didn't find out that till later. So yeah, no. I mean, I really felt in the beginning I was going to help people and improve my own life, And so people say, well, did you get anything out of it? I said, well, of course. Anything I've ever done, I did Course in Miracles. I went to a Unity church. I've done lots of things. I meditate or yoga. It helps in some way. What happens is with Scientology, they bring you in, and all of a sudden you have just gone into a rabbit hole. You have completely. You're told you become more yourself, and the longer I was in, the less myself I became. I was a happy-go-lucky person, and then at a certain point I was afraid to be too big or too happy or too, they call it outvalence, and a valence is a personality. So if you're outvalence, you're not being yourself.
This is sort of something they're conditioning during some of these studies.
Oh my God, you have no idea. I had no idea the indoctrination. I mean, there's a whole language that's created, and I remember George Orwell, 1984, and my daughter came home from school, junior high, and said, Mama, this reminds me of Scientology. I go, what? And she goes, Well, they create their own language, and it's true. There's certain terminology in Scientology that still comes off my tongue, and I literally throw up a little bit. I cannot believe sometimes. I'm like, please. It's so ingrained. I call it Scientology PTSD.
Oh, wow. Well, it's interesting though, because it seems to me like they don't really give you a lot starting out, and what happens is, if I'm not incorrect, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like they're making you feel like you have to earn that knowledge to know more and more before they give you some of these details.
Yeah, it's dangling I call it dangling the carrot of spiritual freedom. You reach one level and you've opened up a can of worms, and man, you got to go on to the next one, because you've opened up a part of it's called case in Scientology. You've opened up that part of you, and now if you don't go on to the next level, you could pull in illness, disease, or even death. And I'm like, well, I don't want to die, so I guess I'll just. And I was making $300,000-$400,000 doing voiceover. I was doing great. I was very successful, and trust me, I got to the highest level, only to find out I lost campaigns, only to find out I became disenchanted, because when I stopped being able to contribute, or when I didn't have money, or when things happened, I was labeled a PTS, which is a potential trouble source. And when you're connected to a suppressive person, you have to handle or disconnect from that person. Well, there are people in my life that were trying to help me. It doesn't mean they were suppressive.
Right.
And when I had nothing, when I lost everything, I lost my home. I was on food stamps. I'm not saying that, feel sorry for me. I was on food stamps for 3 months, okay? I needed to get through the holidays. And there wasn't Scientologists helping me, because you can't be connected to me because I'm not in a good state. So you have to wait until I'm doing better before you can hang out. I had one girlfriend tell me, I can't talk to you until you handle that situation. And I was like, really? You can't? Well, I guess then you're probably never going to talk to me, because that situation is never going to resolve. My daughter's father will always be her father.
Right.
So guess what? That's the craziness. And people, my utilities being turned off, and random people, helping me out. I never asked for help. I never did a GoFundMe or Kickstarter to get somebody to pay my house payment or back rent or whatever. But now I've been for 3 years traveling and doing theater. And I wanted to bring up a point. You said something about the reviews. Can I just tell you the greatest gift from those reviews are? The story is true. It's told in a theatrical setting. It's funny. It's sad. It's moving. It's cathartic, and it's eye-opening. In a huge way. The reviews never said, "Oh, she's a victim." Oh,
right.
The reviews were awesome, because the story is true, and how my director Shirley Anderson pieced all my writing together and helped present it in a way that people say 80 minutes. I did not look at my watch once. I was surprised it was over when it was over. So that's cool.
Something about that I was thinking about was when you've lived it. Now, there's going to be people who think, well, look, it's her word against theirs. Well, it's like, from my count, the last 10, 15 years, it's like 100 people versus their word. But your story resembles a lot of other stories. But what happens is, and I shouldn't say story, your experience. And the reason why the reviews can be so good, and the reason why the show can be so good, is because you lived it, and that comes through in the performance. They have no choice but to go along that ride with you and feel your story, because it's so legitimate, because it's so honest, and that comes through in any performance.
Look, I spent 14 and a half years in when I decided to leave, and 5 years going, how can I get out? I had some money on account. I still have money on account I'll never see. I still have people who owe me money. But I had a little bit of money left on account, and I was being evicted from our house that we rent. And I needed that money. So I waited, of course. It took years to get it, and they took, I think, 3% interest on money that they had on account for 10 years. And I proved that when I sent in the paper. I showed that in one of the articles that was posted last week. wanted you to see that particular piece of paper, so people go, oh, she's not lying. There it is. There's the date. There's the amount of money and invoices of the hundreds of thousands of dollars I spent, because it isn't a lie. It's true. I spent that, and I take responsibility for handing over the credit card, for handing over the wire transfer. But at a certain point, you are so indoctrinated into this viewpoint of spiritual freedom that I became, like, God, I have to have that,
Yeah, well, you said it.
And then, of course, it left me.
Yeah. Well, you said it's almost like poker, right? You put so many chips in the pot, and then you realize you're not hitting the cards you need to hit, but you've already bet so much, you got to go ahead and call the all in.
Yeah, and I kept saying, I got to finish what I start. I paid for it. Let's just finish this next thing. And then all of a sudden, you think you're done, and there's something else. Or you know what the craziest thing about it is? You do something in Scientology, and about 5 to 10 years later, maybe 3 years later, you have to redo it because they said, oh, we were missing this one piece of data that L. Ron Hubbard wrote. We found it in an archival blah, blah. So now I'm redoing the State of Clear, or redoing Objectives. This is a thing in Scientology.
Does it cost
you?
This
book. It's a ruse.
It costs you again to take it again?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
wow.
You have to take it. Yeah. So when it's like, oh, money's down. I'm gonna, it's like putting something new on the menu. But really, it's just leftovers. Oh my God, that's so funny.
That just occurred to you.
Hey, that's mine. I own that line.
It's all yours. You heard it here first, everybody.
It's like putting something new on the menu, but it's leftovers. That's a Scientology. Yeah. Oh God, that's so funny. I'm gonna write that in.
We just do that new material for the show right here.
Yeah, I had 2 glasses of iced tea, so I'm on a caffeine buzz.
There you go. So you mentioned something earlier that occurred to me is if you're getting help from other people, they started calling you suppressive. Does that mean that it seems to me that if it's not coming from the people in Scientology, it's not coming from a place that's worthy or should be accepted?
Well, you kind of think your own group, the group that helps mankind, that is the only hope for mankind, would help. But no, when you're down, you're a degraded being. When you're not doing well, you're considered connected, or some way you have something suppressive connected to you. Now, I just asked for help. I called up the woman who regged, and it's called regging when you reg for money, when you ask for money for certain courses. So when I called her up and asked for help, she hung up the phone. And she regged nearly $500,000 to me, and I thought, wait a minute, you were my best friend, bringing cookies and tea and all this stuff, and hey, do you need this, do you need that? And when I was in Clearwater doing my upper levels, I said, but I call and go, hey, I'm really broke right now, and there's some money on account that I could use so that I don't get kicked out of my house. Hello? Is anyone there? I was like, the phone went dead. I'm like, okay, well, that's telling.
Man.
Also, friends that were in Scientology, all of a sudden I lost agents, managers, my tax guy. It was pretty. Luckily, I wasn't born into Scientology, so I didn't suffer like other people do right now. People that were in and wanted to leave, but their family members stayed in.
Right.
They're completely disconnected. Look, I'm very lucky in that regard. And I will fight to expose that, as well as the people that are already out there fighting. This is not new. There have been people, trying to wake up the world to Scientology's disconnection policy.
So you would say that your value as a member of the Church of Scientology, which I cringe every time I say church, but your membership as a person in the Church of Scientology really depends, or your statute rather, really depends on your wallet. Like, the more money you have, the better treatment you'll receive.
There's 3 categories. You're either a celebrity and they use your face on posters and tell everybody you too can be this. It is. It's true. Of course, when I got into Scientology, I was not aware of any celebrities. I didn't even have a computer. I don't think the internet was just starting. I think it was Netscape.
Yeah.
The first thing, or Internet Explorer, where it made that noise.
Yep.
But I didn't have a computer when I got in, so it's not like I could read anything. And once you're in, you're not really allowed to look up anything on the Internet, any black PR or read anything bad. It's the celebrity, it's the public like me who continues to go up the bridge to spiritual freedom, and they keep dangling that carrot, and I'm just that kind of person that was like, I want that until there was no money left. And then you have the C organization or staff people that join the church either on staff at a local organization, or they sign the billion-year contract to become a Sea Org member, where they work, 50 to 80 hours a week for, I don't know, $50. I think they get paid differently at different places, but for the most part, you have those three categories. So I represent not the Sea Org or staff member, not celebrity, just a Joe Schmo, public person who went in under the idea that she was going to help improve her life and help others. And I left, I always say I left, I spent $983,000 in nearly 2 decades, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. But
Right.
actually, I never did get a T-shirt. So
No, that would be too much.
Funny.
That would be too much. How far into your studies when you first walked in there was it until they had you squeeze the cans?
Oh, right away. I squeezed those cans right away. You understand the whole play on words with my cans.
I sure do.
Okay, so there's the e-meter is an electronic device like a lie detector, and it's connected to these 2 wires, and it holds metal cans, and you hold on to the cans. The wires actually have electricity that flows through them, but it's only that of a 9-volt battery.
Right.
So you hold on to the cans, and your palms have a sensation or a wetness to them. You're able to measure a mental state. I, of course, thought, yes, they're reading my mind. It knows I can't think of anything. That needle on the dial is going to move, and yeah, I pretty quickly I was on the meter. Mm-hmm.
So by today's standards, if you look at a picture of the meter, which I believe they're still using.
Oh yeah, they keep upgrading them, but I heard they charge. I paid $10,000 for 1 meter, but originally it was $3,500. But I heard it costs about $300.
You gotta buy a meter.
Oh yeah, you have to buy 2 meters, my friend. You have to buy 2 meters in case one breaks.
Oh, that's not suggested. That is like you must buy a backup.
No, it's required for the upper levels, because when you get into the upper levels, you're auditing yourself. So you have to have 1 backup meter charged and ready to go. Oh my God, I can't even believe it.
Okay.
I can't believe the money.
So when you look back at it, and I'm not trying to make you feel bad about that, but when you look back at it.
No, you did. You made me feel bad.
I'm sorry.
Now it's my fault. No, it's okay. I mean, I'm not going to get the money back. It's the years that they took from me, and I.
Oh wow.
I mean, so
yeah.
It's that stuff. But I wrote a show, and I'm traveling, and I'm doing theater, and I'm writing music and songs, and I'm walking dogs and cleaning houses and organizing, and I'm enjoying my life.
That's what's important.
So.
That's important.
Right.
Now, let me talk about that, though. When I look at pictures of this meter, of these cans, it looks to me like nothing more than 2 styrofoam cups at either end of a string. Is there any science behind it? When you would audit yourself, could you see something? Did they teach you how to use it so it looked like you could actually tell that a response was matching a negative or a positive?
Oh, sure. Hey, so you're asked a question, and the needle on the dial moves. You ask a question about your an orange, and you don't like oranges. Maybe the needle will drop, and you'll have to say, okay, why don't you like oranges? Or what did you do to that orange to make it not like you, or whatever. Oh,
so how could you get a definite reading on that? Go ahead.
Well, listen, you ever do something that you thought was probably not okay, like when you were a kid?
Yep.
Like, okay, and your mom said, hey, did you do that? And you're like, no, but you did do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're holding the cans, and I asked you if you smoked pot, and you said no, and that needle, you maybe got a little sweaty, maybe you had a little bit of an internal thought, and the needle's going to move. Yeah, I mean,
so
I guess it's like a lie detector.
loosely based on that technology.
What?
Very loosely based on a lie detector.
Loosely based, and also, I talk about I don't even know how to put this into words because I don't know where this is going. As children are going to listen to it, but things that are normal for a normal human body to experience. All of a sudden, if you ask the question every which way to Sunday, eventually you're going to go, well, is it wrong? And all of a sudden you're starting to think, well, maybe I shouldn't have slept with that person.
Right, it's normal things. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I never thought it was, so whatever. I mean, look, we're all human. We all make mistakes. My mistake was joining Scientology. So my show, Squeeze My Cans, is a story about how a Nebraska Catholic girl from 10 kids gets into a cult and stays in it and then gets out, and I'm able to tell the journey of that time in there in order, hopefully, to enlighten other young people, 20-somethings that were like, I'm just searching for answers. I want to better the world. I want to help do this. Hey, Scientology is not the only cult out there.
Nope.
There's cults and I'm not talking about religious cults. I'm talking there are cults all over the place. I mean, I have a friend who was in a bad marriage, an abusive marriage for 17 years. She lives her own cult.
Yeah.
We all suffer and make mistakes. It's how we recover. It's how we own our lives as they are now. And this is my way. This is therapy for my soul. This is my journey and my new chapter.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful message, and I think it's a strong one, and that's one of the reasons I want to have you on to talk about that, because it's hard for me to try to speak from a place where I identify, because I've never been through that kind of thing. But I've communicated with you through Twitter and social media, and I know that you're a great human being. You're a wonderful lady, and no problem. And when I go and I look and I read about good people going through things like that, you feel for them. And I don't want to talk about like pity or feel sorry, but you just feel for them, and you hate to see people get taken advantage of. It's like the bullshitter. You see someone telling all these bullshit stories, and you go, you see people eating it up, and you go, how are they listening to this? And you please don't be swayed by that person, because they're clearly full of it, but they're so charming. They got such a way about them that they just, and people can be, some of the best, smartest people are very trusting people, and it's real easy to get to people like that.
People's intentions are good.
Yes.
People are basically, trying to live a good life, make a good living. I mean, I lost my insurance, my medical insurance. First time in 30 years I lost insurance. I have no insurance right now. My daughter has no insurance. I mean, I'm worried. I'm concerned, but I'm not going to let it ruin my day. I'm going to go out and make some money and handle and keep myself healthy and stuff. But the thing is that there was a point you made, and I wanted to bring it up, and I'm trying to remember. Early on, you were just saying, coming from a place of wanting to help. Oh, I know. You were talking about reading about Twitter and this and that. Okay, so I've had a little bit of press, as you've noticed, which is kind of overwhelming in a sense, because it's like I didn't know that interview I did was with a big newspaper, which would go to another one, which would go to another one. So I keep getting these comments of people saying, don't read the comments, don't read the comments. And, of course, I'm not going to read the comments. I don't have time to read the comments.
Right.
But there was one particular, my friend in northern Wisconsin, who used to hire me as a producer doing voiceover, she sent me a screenshot of someone who wrote after reading D-List or Huffington Post or something. I just IMDb'd her. She was nothing. She was just a clown on the Bozo show in Chicago. And my friend wrote back and went, she was a national voiceover artist. She had 10, 20 national voiceovers going on at one time. You're not going to find that on IMDb. And it made me laugh because, she was just a clown.
The voiceover thing, I'm trying to get into voiceover. I don't do very good impressions, but I can, I want to do voices. You don't have to do impressions to do voiceover. It depends on what you're doing.
You have to be able to read copy.
Yes.
And It's a different world now because I can't. I mean, I haven't booked voiceover in so long. I used to book all the time, but listen, so much is non-union and so much goes to celebrities, and unless unless yeah, it's just not the same market as it used to be for me. And I mean, I made a lot of money in voiceover, and I don't discourage anybody from getting into it. It's just that what happened is people were saying, I want to do voiceover where I get paid $500. Someone would say, well, I'll do it for $50. And I'm thinking, why would you sell yourself short?
Just to get that name.
Yeah, I just want to do it. I want my family to hear me, or I want my kids. Yeah. I'm like, I just don't get it, So I am lucky that I made the living that I did when I did. Yes, I gave a lot to the church, but I also gave. I helped my family. I was able to travel a bit, and my daughter didn't suffer that much. I mean, we had a roof over our heads, and so we are luckier than most. And I say that really sincerely when I say we were luckier than most because we weren't born into Scientology. We didn't get disconnected from family members, and there's thousands of them out there.
It gets bad.
Thousands of people who haven't seen their grandchildren or parents or siblings because they left the church not in good standing, and like they went, I don't want anything to do with it, and so they were shunned.
Well, I'm glad you say that because that's one of the things you hear about in the media, you read about in the papers, but you don't know how true it is, and you're kind of confirming it. And that's important knowledge there. And I was going to say before about the voice acting, it's kind of a thankless job. It's getting a little bit more notoriety today than it has in the past. But that's why the ignorance is there with that. I wish he was just a clown. And
yeah. Okay. Hey, I'm proud of being a clown on the Bozo Show. That was fun. I had a blast. I'm an actor. I'm a singer. I sing in bars in Chicago. I sing jazz. I did Madame Thenardier and Les Mis and quite a few other shows. And I love performing in theater. That's what I did before I got into Scientology, and then I stopped. And I was so stupid because I stopped doing it. Yeah, it was my fault, but I was in Clearwater. I couldn't exactly go on tour with anything.
Right.
I made that choice. See how I'm not blaming. I'm not blaming
No.
it. I chose to do it, but I was definitely indoctrinated for sure.
You don't have to blame them, but that's not okay. You know what I mean? It's not okay what they do. I want to ask you. You said you were there. Were you there actively for 15 years?
Yeah, I was. It was about August of 2004 when I went. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work out. And then it took me another 5 years to really decide to get out. It took me another 5. I mean, I was concerned early on when they tried to recruit my daughter into the Sea Org, and I said she was young, and they were like, "Hey, you could do this when you're 18. You're an adult, and you could join the Sea Organization, and you don't need your parents' signature when you're 18." And my daughter told me that, and I was like, I told them she's hands off, don't mess with her, and then it kind of went downhill from there. And also when the money was gone, and also people not, I wasn't invited to play in the reindeer games. Okay, I was no longer part of the group because of certain things.
No, I know you don't want this to be a focal point of the conversation. But the reindeer game, the whole thing not being part of reindeer games, I imagine that's a cross between not being able to provide the expenses as well as how your audition went. You had an audition that you didn't know what you were auditioning for?
Yeah, that was just I had no idea. I went into I got called in to do an audition for a video part of the church called the Golden Era Productions, and they do training videos to disseminate Scientology or to use as a training tool for people that are in Scientology. And so I thought I was auditioning for that, and I went into the room in Hollywood at the Manor Hotel, and when I got there, I was in front of a camera, and just like any audition, you slate your name, Cathy Schenkelberg. Where are you from? I tell them. What level are you on? OT7, which is the operating Thetan 7. Couple other questions about my stuff and life, and then what do you think of Tom Cruise? And honest to God, I was like, oh man, I can't stand that guy. I'm not a fan. I mean, I was so bummed when him and Nicole broke up and this and that. And I'm shooting off at the mouth, as my mother says, talking around your foot. But I just didn't dig the guy. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, are you going to give me a script? Do I have anything to read? And he excused me from the room. And I'm like, well, that was weird. So I go out into the lobby, and I bump into this singer named Brooke, and she says, oh, my God, how'd you do? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, you know that was an audition to be Tom Cruise's girlfriend. And I'm like, I don't think I'm getting a call back.
What a bizarre thing.
Well, and I don't know how she knew that, and I just kind of, you know what, I just swept it under the table. I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, why would they ask me that? That's so weird. And then it wasn't until I talked to other people who got out of the church, and I talked to the guy who got out of the church who was running the camera, and he goes, oh, yeah, I remember you. But then I knew it was like, and then I read Lawrence Wright book, Going Clear, and I thought, well, yeah, it is. It did happen. It happened to me, and it happened to other people too. Maybe, and they were, women who were Scientologists who were upper levels, very affluent, or doing well in life. I mean, look, I wasn't the hottest thing in the room at all, but I wasn't anything to scoff at. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, Cathy, the thing with that was, I read somewhere that started a downward spiral where you weren't allowed to, like you said, you weren't allowed to play in the reindeer games, you weren't allowed to parties, asked to leave the room.
Well, I think something said blacklisted, but I don't recall ever saying I was blacklisted. I was shunned. I was not exactly the. Let me put it this way. I was a celebrity, considered a celebrity, until someone bigger came along. So
again,
you're excused from the table. It's like, oh, you got to leave because there's someone bigger over here that needs that seat, or you're invited to the party, but now you can't come. And that really ticked me off. It was like, wait a minute, we're all Scientologists. We all poop and pee. We all need to sleep. We're not any different than anybody else just because you're making $1 million and I'm not.
Right.
We're all looking for this spiritual freedom and hoping to help people and mankind. But man, when I got bumped, I think one of the biggest thing I bought there's a ship called the Freewinds, and I paid for a really nice room. It was $5,000 for the week on this cruise.
Wow.
It's $5,000 for the week, and I had a beautiful room that you could have windows, and it was the Millennium. I was so excited. I get on the ship, and they gave it away to Jenna and Bodie Elfman, and they told me, yeah, they wanted that room. And I bought it a year ago.
Wow.
And I got put down under the galleys, the kitchen, and they said, well, we'll credit you the next time you come on the ship. Well, I never went back, so I never got credited. So I stayed in a room that was maybe $1,250 a week. And so but that's what I mean. That's where you go, oh, okay, so these two people wanted that room that I paid for a year ago, and I'm supposed to just bite it,
But they were telling you were special, right?
You're not special anymore now.
Yeah.
You know what? It's just within Scientology, there is a clique, just like anything. Come on, it's everywhere. It's not just Scientology, but there's a clique within a clique. You ever go to a table and you go, oh, I don't feel comfortable at this table because everybody stopped talking when you sat down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't need that. Trust me, I'd rather hike in the mountains and walk dogs than conform and be something I'm not.
So what came first, the treatment over the Tom Cruise interview or the Sea Org offer?
Oh, it was kind of all, let me see, the cruise ship thing, then the daughter thing, and then the Tom Cruise audition, which basically I didn't get shunned because of that. I got disenchanted. I was like starting to go. I was questioning things, and every time I questioned something,
how
I
dare
get
you?
pulled into ethics.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
How dare you?
Yeah. You if you question something, or even what L. Ron Hubbard wrote, you have to go through a series of looking up your misunderstood words, finding out until you get so exhausted. You're like, yeah, okay, I get it. That's okay. It's cool. I understand now.
It looks like geometry.
You're just like, I don't know if I can cuss on. Can I cuss on this podcast?
Cuss a little bit. It's PG-13. You can.
Well, nah, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep it clean. But
well,
I
kind
kind
of
went screw it.
Mm-hmm.
You know the word I want to use.
Yes.
But yeah. So and literally when I was running out of money, I was told, well, you need to do a special rundown. You need to handle why you're not making money. So wait a minute. I need to handle why I'm not making money, but I have to give you more money to handle why I'm not making money. I'm like, dang.
You are smart.
Yeah, well.
You figured it out.
I am really smart people have gotten into Scientology.
Absolutely.
Here's the kicker. People want to help. So you get in because of, or wanting, like I said, wanting to improve your life and help others. But you don't realize it until you're so into it and you've paid so much money that it's like, a great example. It's your wedding day. I've never been married, but let's just say it's your wedding day because I know people who told me this. And you are in that room, the photographer's there, and everybody's there, and you're getting ready to walk down that aisle, and you're thinking, holy crap, I should not be getting married. But I'll just do it because I already paid the money. That was me. I was like, oh, man, as soon as I got to a certain point, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just finish this one more thing, and then I'm done because I already paid for it.
Wow.
Gosh, I hope you can see the show when it's in Florida. I mean, you have to follow it on the website. We'll
Absolutely.
Have the stuff, squeezemycans.com, and I'm really flattered also that you took the time to read some reviews. Not just all the articles and stuff, but the actual reviews of the show. I'm going to post a link to some of them on my website because we don't have a lot of them up. That really makes me so happy when people I don't even know came to the show and took the time at the Hollywood Fringe to write a review. That is awesome. That says a lot. People that know and love you already, that's one thing, and I appreciated it, but I'm talking about people that I've never met who tell me thank you. Wow. That
is awesome. That's the whole reason you're doing it now. I mean, a big part of the reason. Part of it's for yourself, but a lot of it is you are helping others.
It's not for the money, and you know the church is really notorious. Like, oh, she's just trying to make money. This is her 15 minutes of fame or whatever. Not that they've said that about me, because I'm really, like I said, I'm not anything to write home about as far as the church is concerned. But I am something to write home about if you have a young, daughter or son or a loved one or friend who's considering it. They come see the show and they will change their mind. And I kid you not, I have talked to, I've done 20 shows so far. I have talked to people that almost got in. I have talked to people who has family members that got in. And I have talked to people that are still in the church but under the radar that they wouldn't let me take a picture and post it on Facebook. They're like, no.
Wow.
I can't. I don't want to lose my job, or I have a sibling that's still in. So I wanted to come to your show because I don't do Scientology, but I don't want my name out there because I don't want to lose my job, or because they work with they work.
You become a suppressive by default.
So I'm considered. I'm declared a suppressive. So you really can't connect to me.
Right.
I would not be someone you'd want to be connected to.
All right. Well, obviously,
so scary.
I can't talk to you about this without asking you. The one big thing people think about when you think of Scientology, I have to ask you the Xenu questions. When did you first hear of Xenu?
When I opened the materials, when I went into the course room, when I opened it and read it, and went, what the F?
Was that OT3?
Yeah.
OT3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they saved it, because if they would have showed me that at the beginning,
you're out the door. Yeah.
but I obviously I did it because I had paid for it. I mean, like, what am I going to do? I'm here. I'm in the room. I just spent how many months in Florida, in Clearwater, Florida, going from clear, Dianetic clear to OT7, which is the top level that you go home and audit on. And now I'm here and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is what I have to do for the next 3 months it took me to audit on that. And then you continue. Well, you noticed the alien hands, right? On my graphic. Yeah. So again, and it also plays on the whole Pulp Fiction sci-fi thing.
Yeah.
But hey, why can't we laugh at ourselves?
Right.
We all make mistakes. Now, if I didn't laugh, I'd be living in a hole. I'd be not happy.
I think that's why a lot of us get into entertainment. A lot of us people who like to entertain is life is better when we're having fun and enjoying ourselves.
Exactly.
A lot of us, again, in entertainment, also the comical side, we see everything, and we see just how terrible things can be. And it's true, as like you said, not just in your case, but in a lot of cases, if you're not laughing, you want to cry. Let's just be real.
Right. Right.
That's just because you're a feeling person. As like you said, you care about people, you want to help people. So obviously, you're very in tune with your sensitivity.
Right.
What about this? What about Sea Org was it that made you say no? Is there something specific about Sea Org or something in your mind about it that made you say absolutely not?
I always looked at it, wow, they contributed their life to this group for 1 billion years, which is hard to fathom anyway,
right.
The whole concept, which I always had trouble with, but I always kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to be thrown into ethics. But I just didn't want my daughter to be recruited that young, and also I just wanted her to live her life, It's like I was told, well, when you raise your daughter, you can join the Sea Org too, and I'm like, but I don't want to. I want to sing. I want to do all the things I haven't been doing while I'm going up the bridge, Scientology bridge, so that I can, I kept thinking, no, I want to sing and dance and act. That's always what I've done. I don't know. It's funny because there were so many people I did love, and so many people that have died or left the church, and you don't hear from them. And people genuinely really wanted to help, and so I met some really nice people in the church, but we were all duped. And the ones that are still in, they just either are afraid to leave, like I was for years, or they just have they're so brainwashed that they can't leave, or they don't know anything else. Some of them have been in 40, 50 years. They have no pension. They have no Social Security. They will leave, and where will they be? Where will they go?
So I mean, so if I'm getting this right, basically you've taken enough of what you wanted out of life. You didn't want that to happen to your daughter. But what was the fear of leaving? What were you afraid that you wouldn't have any support system at all, or you've been dependent on them, or?
When you get into Scientology, you have friends from all walks of life. The longer I got in, the more I had insulated myself with. All of a sudden, the doctor that I had was now a Scientologist, the chiropractor, the dermatologist, the accountant guy, my bookkeeper is my agent, my manager, my friends, my photographer. If I had a cleaning person, it'd be a Scientologist. If I had an airport driver, he is a Scientologist. I was so insulated. So it's so when you leave, you lose a lot of that. Now, did I have friends outside of Scientology? Yes. Were they there when I got out? Absolutely. They did not judge me. They loved me unconditionally when I was in. But when I got out of Scientology, that's not the case. So leaving Scientology is like, well, also when you think about it, you're eating crow. You're basically telling everybody, hey, I just spent $1 million in almost 2 decades, and it was like a big mistake.
I got punked in a big way.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So you look at this.
So, I don't. Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead. You had a point. Go ahead.
No, I didn't.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry. No, I'm looking at this, and I look at folks like, and you said kind things about John Travolta. You got Leah Remini, who just got out, and you've got Kirstie Alley. And I remember them all, not John Travolta specifically, but I do remember Mike Rinder, Leah Remini, and Kirstie Rinder. You would know the pronunciation better, I guess. Sorry. Mike Rinder, Leah Remini, and Kirstie Alley were all interviewed by John Sweeney from the BBC as a reporter. Did an investigative report years ago, shortly after you got in, I think, or shortly around the time you think about getting out, rather. And he did an interview with them. He was being followed around by camera crews, which I guess you can confirm happens. He was being harassed for doing the investigative report. And he interviewed Kirstie Alley, Leah Remini, a few other people. Mark Rinder specifically, it was as if they...
Mike Rinder. You mean
I keep saying Mark Rinder and Mike Rinder. Sorry.
Well, you're thinking of Mark Rathburn.
I got to be.
Yeah, they were interviewed by John Sweeney when they were all in.
Right.
Still. But Mike got out shortly after that interview, which
yes.
is great. He's a fantastic person.
Well, this is my point. Has he been a support system for you?
They do. I don't know Leah Remini. I know she has a huge support system from her family, only from what I've read, and I'm sure because just like I said, from what I've read, and I did know her mom when I was in because we were on course together for a while, but I didn't know Leah at all. Mike I knew because I met him when I went to his wedding, but and Kirstie I only knew because I sat at her. We both shopped at the same store and sat together a couple times, but she was never someone who I interacted with or went to parties with or anything.
Okay.
But they were interviewed, and I know that Scientology. When people get out, they, especially the Sea Org people and the people that have something to say, like Mike Rinder and Marty went through a lot. But like I said, I only read things, so
right.
I only read what you read.
So I'm going to. I want to ask you just from an opinion standpoint, because you can't be in Mike Rinder's mind, you can't be in Leah Remini's mind, or Kirstie Alley, or anybody. But I can ask you what you think is happening here, because if you go back, you can actually find them on YouTube and everything. These interviews. He asked them about their practices. He asked them about Xenu, and they all looked at him like they had three heads. And Mike Rinder in particular, it was like, I mean, I know technically he was almost Miscavige's right-hand man. Is that right?
Yeah.
David Miscavige, I believe his name.
Yeah.
It was as if you were talking to David himself. He was just a real, and I don't say this. I'm not attacking Mike now because I'm trying to understand what happened here. He was a total prick to John Sweeney on this interview, for lack of a better term. He completely, you could tell he was being a jerk. You can tell he was being avoiding. And I don't know what's happening with Kirstie Alley and Leah Remini and these other people when they're being interviewed and they look at them and they deny. Is it different for these higher-up people in such a big way that they don't know Xenu's story, or they don't know what's happening, or are they being forced to say these things?
They all know it. Let me just tell you, they all know it. And I was when I first opened up the material, if someone reads, and I learned this very early on, OT3 was the wall of fire. If someone reads this material that aren't as advanced or ready to get this, they could die. They could seriously. I mean, I think Ron said he broke his back when he was researching OT3. I can't remember what tape. It's RG67 or something.
Those tapes, I've heard them.
A lot of things just, I mean, but the thing is I had gotten home from being on OT7, and a friend of mine was in my kitchen, and she said, hey, and she said, is it true that there's these body thetans and these alien life forms attached to your body, blah, blah, blah. I looked at her and I said, you got to be friggin' kidding me. I'm like, you really think I spent all this money to do that? Seriously? I was trained not to say anything. I made her wrong. I basically made her go, what the heck, man?
It's too embarrassing.
Well, I couldn't disclose it. It would cost me so much money when I went back down to Clearwater for my tune-up, my checkup. It would cost me so much money if I said, I just told somebody about OT3.
Oh.
So they were doing the right thing because they were drilled. Before you go on television, these people before they're interviewed, they're drilled what to say and what not to say. I mean, I was even drilled. I said, why do people keep calling Scientology a cult? And then I was drilled on what to say when someone calls Scientology a cult. I was like, well, it's from the word culture. All religions are from the word culture, blah, blah, blah. And I had to drill it, like rote, you know? So
It feels like what's happening shouldn't be able to legally happen. It feels like there should be something that could be done. And I guess it always feels like there's something that could be done about something not fair. I don't know.
They're tax exempt. They're a religion. Come on. If they revoke their tax exempt status, all that real estate, all that property they own, all that money, they have what are they? The second highest property owner in the state of California, or
they're powerful.
Yeah, and who knows? I don't know if they paid people off. Judges, lawyers, politicians, I don't know. Maybe.
How accurate?
It seems a little weird.
How accurate do you think Going Clear was?
Very accurate.
I mean, if it's accurate.
I knew everybody in there except one person. No, why would people lie? Look, you have. I'm gonna say the guy's. This is a celebrity that has nothing to do with Scientology, right?
Okay.
I'm not gonna say his name, but he's in court. He's got not one or two women saying that he raped them. He's got 30, maybe 40. I mean, come on. You have all these people who leave Scientology.
I wonder who you're talking about.
I know. Yeah, but the thing is that you can't. My story represents hundreds of people who've left Scientology. They may not be actors or entertainers. They may not have been a single mom. They may have spent $1 million from their practice. A lot of people had huge practices, chiropractic, dentists, organizations, and they spent everything and lost everything. So my story is just my story. It's what happened to me, and I happen to be an actor and a singer who can tell it in a fun, theatrical way.
One more opinion-based question, because I don't want you to say more than you're comfortable saying. But you look at because I know John Travolta. You've mentioned somewhere else that you're friends with him, or you've had a friendship with him.
No, his sister and I were very dear friends in Chicago. She's a voiceover artist, and she used to tell her brother, "Hey, Cathy did this, Cathy did that," and he knew when I did a certain level or whatever. He never got her into Scientology, but the couple times I saw him, we had a burger together, but it's not like I got invited to his house or anything.
Right.
But his sister was a dear friend of mine, and she moved somewhere. I don't know where she moved, but I knew her from Chicago.
So not as much with not so much with Tom Cruise, but a lot with John Travolta. You hear what a great guy he is. I've heard from multiple people, just generally speaking. So you think great guy like John Travolta and somebody as powerful as Tom Cruise is in the Church of Scientology, you got to think that they have the power and the ability, if they want to unveil what's happening and help people because obviously there's people who suffer and have real pain from this. You've had your pains from this. You have yours you can't get back. I've heard a lot about it here today and in other reports that I've read. You would think they would stand up and say or do something. Do you think there's more to it than just denial and embarrassment? Do you think there's some dirt, or do you think there's something? Some of these questions.
I think John would do himself a favor to just be honest. Here's the thing: celebrities, some of them, and there are not that many celebrities in Scientology. There's celebrities in Scientology that don't speak out, that don't want people to know, will not put their picture on a poster. That you don't even know are Scientologists, that I know they're Scientologists, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that, you know, they've been in so long. It's just like me being able to go, oh shit, I did this thing, and now I have to admit I made a mistake. Well, I got to come out and tell my dad before he died, Dad, I made a mistake. I'm so sorry I hurt you, and I feel very blessed to have been able to do that.
Yeah.
I think someone like John would do great service to people if he did come out, but I can't crawl into his head. He's got children. He's got a, I find a very double standard for some celebrities, and that's my own experience where it cost me a fortune for something I did. When I see celebrities when I was in Scientology, get away with stuff. And I go, wait a minute. You mean to tell me I have to pay to take responsibility for this action that you call a transgression or whatever I have to own up to? And these guys they get to do that, and then it just gets swept under the table, or I take years, and other people take years to finish a certain level in Scientology, and all of a sudden a celebrity gets done in a few years. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's just my opinion. Is like, it looks good for the church to say, oh look, Tom Cruise completed OT7 or OT8. Look at him. He's an awesome guy and he's very successful. Wait a minute. Didn't he just get on that level? I don't know. I just find I find there to be a double standard.
It feels to me like it's more like a country club atmosphere for the higher level celebrities than any kind of religion or any kind of movement. It's more just being part of a club.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is.
Do you think they have a strong?
There are a lot of.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Huh? What?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said I was going to say there are a lot of lovely people I met in the church, and I would love to see them and hug them and tell them how much I love them, because they were good souls, and I can't name them on this podcast.
Right.
But man, someday I would love to be able to say, hey, but.
I hope you can. I just want to ask real quick. Do you think they have a strong influence over the entertainment industry? Do you think it's a dangerous thing to cross those guys?
No, I don't think they do as much anymore. I don't think it's like, I'm a Scientologist. Oh, this movie's gonna, No, I don't think so. I think most Scientologists are probably not announcing the fact they're Scientologists when they're auditioning for a show.
Yeah. Okay.
That's just my opinion. I don't think there's as many people in Scientology as they say there is. And I hope in my lifetime that I see the end of it. But you know what? There'll be another cult that pops up. There's offshoots of Scientology anyway.
Absolutely.
People wanting to, start a group and, hey, let's start a religion. This would be fun.
Yeah, I just worry. And the reason I bring you on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so terrible about it. Go ahead.
No,
I'm sorry.
I would say, how about the religion of kindness and honesty
there you
and
go.
goodwill towards men? I mean, that would be free.
Well, that feels like something that is one of the selling points to most cults, most cult-like things I've been offered as a teenager. When I first started out, getting out in the open and being out amongst people, I get approached with things. I can't remember the names of half these religions I was approached with, but it was, hey, we're a non-denominational church, and we don't subscribe to any specific stories, but we're very spiritual and we're about good things. That's almost the same script as any cult, any movement that's not. I'm not saying organized religion is the answer per se, but it's real. It's a real easy thing. And if you are a smart person, a very intelligent person with all the best intentions, the idea of a spiritual, non-denominational church where you can all come together and make the world better is an amazing, revolutionary thing that you want to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, look at how lovely the Bernie movement was. I mean, for young people getting enthusiastic about the future and about their future.
Sure.
I thought he inspired so many young people, and he wasn't. Maybe people could call it a cult, but I loved it. I just enjoyed it so much. But people, especially when you're that young, you're really like, this is my future. I am getting to vote on the future that my children are going to live in, instead of all these curmudgeons going, I don't give a shit,
Yeah.
It's just a different world, and it can't be every man for himself. It has to be every man for the future of the planet and the safety and the. It's exhausting.
Yep. I don't want to take all your time because I know you've been very generous with your time today. I said like 40, 45 minutes. We're rolling here, but
Oh wow.
I will say one time. Oh, you try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I saw that leaked video from Scientology of Tom Cruise talking, and he says, "And we're the only ones that can help." And I'm going, that's weird.
With the car accident.
Yeah. I was like, that sounds weird.
But you know what? I used to be when I was in. It was like when we're in it. I did call Tom a narcissist. Okay, I did. It's what I said. I can't take that back. But the thing is I was a narcissist too. Probably I was in. I wanted to help. I wanted to go free. I wanted spiritual freedom, and I was told that if we clear the planet would be all clear. And I kept asking, clear of the reactive mind? Yeah, we have to clear the planet. I go, how boring. How boring. No emotion, no nothing. I said, there's something about having a a good cry now and then, a laugh or a anger or whatever, just something that shows you're still ticking. You know, I can't be a robot.
No.
I'm not a robot.
No.
And I'm really happy I got out. I wish I would have gotten out sooner with a little money to spare, but that's
well, clearly, one thing you've taken from this, and there's nothing that can be done about the time that you lost, and I'm so sorry that we can't get that back. But I can tell you that what I see in you is somebody who has a whole new outlook. I mean, it was always positive beginning, but it seems like you have this positive outlook where you value things and understand the value of a lot of things in your life that maybe you may have taken for granted before.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
You cut out a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. It seemed like
cut out just on that last 5 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. It seemed like that you were that you have more. You see the value in things in your life a little bit more than you might have seen before. Things that might have been taken for granted. Absolutely.
No, everything looks brighter now, and it's a chapter, and I'm creating this new chapter, and I am happy, and so we'll see. Squeeze my cans. I'm
Squeeze
excited.
my cans.
I'm going to do a couple more really exciting interviews. I'm very happy that you called me.
Yes, I do have one more thing.
That your listeners enjoyed it.
I have one more thing. I'm so sorry. I do with all my guests. I do this silly 10-question think fast thing. It's not that fast usually, but it's 10 questions. It's real quick, a little question. Smart, silly, funny, interesting. If you're uncomfortable with any, you can say pass. Are you up for that?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, I do have, and I know I said one more thing, but I do have one important question. It just occurred to me. I think is a valuable question. Do you know, is there a such thing as any kind of support systems for people trying to get out of Scientology? Is there any place they can go that you can suggest to people that would give them help?
Somebody else asked me that, and I mean, there's a lot of ex-Scientology, groups, but sometimes it gets, there's different viewpoints when you leave Scientology. Some people still believe in L. Ron Hubbard's technology. Some people don't. Some people still do auditing on the side under the radar, and other people do. I'm a non-judger. You do what you want. It's not for me. I think taking walks and climbing mountains and doing yoga and dancing and laughing is the best therapy, but also surrounding yourself with people you trust and people who love you unconditionally. And people who are there when you fall. That is the biggest thing that happened to me. And I got a little goosebumps on my arm because, man, there were so many people that embraced me and the show and my storytelling when I was first creating the show. I was doing spoken word that caught me. And not every day is a good day, but my sadness lasts 5 minutes. I set the timer, maybe 10, and then the timer goes off and I head out the door. So I just think you need to surround yourself with people you trust and who love you unconditionally, no judgment, not telling you how to feel or what to feel. But
that's awesome. I like that answer.
I don't know.
It's a really good answer. All right, so 10 questions. Number one, what do you look forward to most these days?
Oh, gosh. The next day.
What more can you hope for?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Number
2, what's your favorite snack?
Oh, gosh. I have so many. My favorite snacks are those little snap pea things you get at Trader Joe's. They're like dried vegetables.
Okay.
Sun-dried snap pea. They're salty, though. They have sea salt on them.
Okay.
They're addicting.
I can see that, definitely. All right. Number 3, true or false? No one cares how gay Tom Cruise is.
No one cares.
No one cares. True.
I don't think he's gay though. That's just. I don't really care.
Who knows?
But,
Who knows?
Yeah.
No one cares. All right, number 4. True or false?
I have a lot of gay friends who'd love him to be.
There you go.
Go ahead, Wes.
I like it. Number 4. True or false? Too many people care what's going on with the Kardashians.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Yeah. I don't even watch any reality TV.
Okay,
So,
well, it's not real. None of it, man.
Yeah.
Number 5, what's the best part of being free?
It's free. Spiritual freedom should be free.
I love it.
It's free. I'm trying to answer fast.
Oh, you're fine. Okay, I'll give you a chance. Sorry. Number 6, what is your greatest wish right now? What do you want more than anything today?
I'd like health insurance for me and my daughter. That would be great. But I'm going to elaborate more. I just want everybody to get along. I wish that so much war wasn't over religion, and
God.
also that politics was more ethical, and Scientology was no more. That was like 4 things.
I'm gonna accept it. They're all great things. Number 7. Speaking of which, I think you already kind of talked about it. Solve social unrest in America in 3 words.
To solve it?
Yeah, 3 words.
To solve it? Oh, in 3 words. Let people be free. Oh God. In 3 words?
That's not fair, is it? I'm
hygiene.
sorry. Good.
How about that? Good dental hygiene.
So many diseases can come from oral hygiene problems. That is correct. That's good.
You know that, and your feet. You have to take care of your feet and
Absolutely.
your teeth. And trust me when I say I don't date guys with bad teeth. Okay, go ahead.
If I don't want to vote for Trump or Hillary, what should I do? I always tell people vote for me.
Vote for me. Well, God, and I stay away from politics, but I kind of wish Bernie was in there, but I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to get into that. It's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine today, and we were talking about there's a coup. Like Hillary and Trump were friends, right? Their families were friends. They hung out together, and Hillary's probably drinking wine at a party, going, "This is just a thought. This is just a couple of my friends sitting around talking." Or like Hillary's like, "Donald, you need to run for president. You can blow the whole thing. It'll be awesome. I'll get it. No problem." She had no friggin' idea that he was going to make it this far. And now he's trying to say everything he can to get kicked out.
Feels like it.
People love him. I mean, he could say, a friend of mine said this today. He said he could say, "I just ate poop." And everybody go, "Yay, you just ate poop."
You're right. It scares me about humanity right now, actually.
Oh, I know. Isn't that funny?
All right, number 9. Can you confirm or deny the L. Ron Hubbard room in some of the churches of Scientology? Is this a real thing?
Oh, every church, every church has an office roped off that has a desk and everything set up for him to come back, for him to arrive.
God help us.
Like the second coming, like Christ or whatever.
When did you
thought it was a waste of space.
When did you find that out? Was that the first thing they told you, one of them?
Oh, absolutely. I was like, can we sit in here? No. That's for Ron for when he comes back.
Okay.
I kid you not.
I guess that's one of those things you kind of shook your head and moved on, right?
Yeah, you don't ask questions at a certain point. It takes too much time, costs too much money.
Okay, let's get on to what I paid for, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, number 10, this is the most self-serving thing I ever do. I ask it every interview. What do you think of the host of Come Get Some?
Awesome. By the way, you look great for radio, just so you know.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
You have a great face for radio. That's not a compliment.
No, it's not. I look great for radio.
Yeah, great.
Well, that was funny. Okay, well, on that note, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, because you've had so many big interviews, so many big people interviewing, like names people would recognize, and you didn't have to talk to me, and you went out of your way to make the time, and I really appreciate it.
You were my favorite, though.
Am I?
You were my favorite.
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
I kid you not. You could put me on the e-meter and ask me the question, and the needle would float. So there.
I couldn't be happier to hear that. You're a very sweet lady, and I really hope you get your wish that that the people who are good people who need their freedom will break free, and and I'm going to be fair about this. If you are a Scientologist actively in Scientology and you want to defend this and you want to have your say, by all means, you have a right to talk, and I'll have you on the show. I hope you don't mind me saying this on your show, but
No.
I want,
Yes,
but please bring me something compelling because it's hard not to be compelled by Cathy here.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. You take
It was
care.
fun.
I want to see your show.
You will. I'll let you know. You'll see me on Twitter.
Thank you so much.
SqueezeMyCans.com.
SqueezeMyCans.com.
Okay,
What's your
honey.
Twitter?
SqueezeMyCans.com. Yeah, SqueezeMyCans. Everything's SqueezeMyCans. Facebook, SqueezeMyCan.com on Twitter and on the web.
Excellent. Check it out. You won't want to miss it when it comes to your town, folks.
Okay, so that was Cathy Schenkelberg. What an awesome interview to have, and what an awesome person to represent the ex-Scientologist from her perspective. I can say this. I want to start with this. Cathy talks about the cult where everybody's really good to each other, unconditional love, taking care of each other, just really good people. I often call this show the Sixth Call. It was an organic thing that happened in a conversation, because I'm Miami Sixth Man on Twitter. Conversation with a supporter, friend, and listener of the show. We came up with the Sixth Call concept. So all my listeners, all my guests, you're all part of this cult, the Sixth Call, and it is free. There is no need for tax exemption. There's no expectations that are insane. There's no overlord. You're all welcome to be part of this cult, and Cathy, you would be ranked very high in this cult. So welcome to our cult here, the Sixth Cult. A lot of things weren't covered. A lot of things actually got missed in this interview. 3 parts and still didn't get everything, and it's because there's so much information, and I wanted this to be more about Cathy's experience and her opinions based on her experiences. That's why I brought up Going Clear, which I recommend to everybody. It's a very interesting movie. Strange thing, I was talking about John Travolta with her, talking about what a great guy he is and how he should say something, or him or Tom Cruise or somebody, and why they don't. Interesting thing is, in the movie Going Clear, in the book Going Clear, there's a lot of discussion about how somebody reached out to John Travolta for help and he ignored them. And he was asked about this in an interview, and he gives some quotes. He said, "No, I haven't seen the film, and I don't really care to." And he said something to the I'm paraphrasing here, that why would I watch something so decidedly negative? Well, if you haven't seen the movie and you have no interest in seeing the movie, but you know it's decidedly negative, I don't understand this. He also went on to say, this is the real one that really got me, was why would I speak on something that's not my truth? It wouldn't make sense for me or for Tom Cruise, I imagine. It's not your truth. So in other words, it's not bothering me. Sure, it might be happening. I don't know. Why do I care? It's not my problem. You're walking down a street where maybe you got engaged. It's like the greatest street. You've had parades there. You've made money there. You made movies there. You hear someone screaming down the back alley, might be in trouble. Should you investigate? It's not true for you. You never get attacked on this street. Why do you care? That's what I get from this statement from John Travolta, and the general attitude of higher-ranking folks in Scientology and celebrities in Scientology. Along those lines, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if government officials or IRS officials or judges were bribed, blackmailed, and or bought off. Don't know. If it's true, shame on you protecting your own skin, looking out for your own ass at the expense of thousands of others, and staying silent and remaining silent all this time. How dare you, you cowards? However, wait a minute, I'll say this. What if I'm wrong? Hey, maybe I'm wrong. And maybe I'm wrong to jump on the Cathy Schenkelberg Squeeze My Cans bandwagon, on the Squeeze My Cans Across America tour. Maybe I'm wrong to listen to Leah Remini, wrong to listen to Mike Rinder. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe we have the wrong idea. Maybe every single person who ever left Scientology is just somebody who's negative and just really wants to get back at them. There's never been a happy person that had a good thing to say about their time in Scientology. It's just a crazy, wild coincidence, right? If that's true, there's one really good way I can think of to verify that it's all lies. And that's if David Miscavige himself comes on Come Get Some and speaks about it. Defend your position. Defend your religion. Defend your beliefs. Defend the people who follow you. When I say this, I'm not saying this is an attack. And by the way, I've never said anything negative to or about, and I've never put a guest in a compromising position that I didn't give them the option to get out of. I'm good to my guests. I want you to come on here and speak yourself. Everything I see in the media is a press release. Every single press release more arrogant than the last press release. I see a spokesperson. I see an angry Mike Rinder who the next day quit Scientology because I can't speak for him, but I can't imagine he wants to be in that position doing that when he so vehemently doesn't agree with what he's saying. And then your spokespeople. No, we need to hear from the man himself, David Miscavige. The reason I'm demanding this or just basically pleading with you, come on here, it's not for ex-Scientologists so you can speak to them. It's not just for that. It's not for people who are curious looking out, from the outside looking in, going, I wonder, if any of this is true. What's the real truth about Scientology? It's not just for them, but it's for them too. It's for the people who believe and follow blindly in Scientology. This is a religion, the only one religion I can think of where we know who founded it. We know it was a mortal man who wrote terrible science fiction and had Alzheimer's. L. Ron Hubbard was a mortal man that lived during mine and many others' lifetimes. We know. You say it in your materials. It's not even hidden. But look, but look, people who follow Scientology, who believe in what you do and preach, they might be wondering why you never speak publicly. And I'm saying if I speak for your followers and I speak for your ex-followers and I speak for the curious outsiders looking in, and you remain silent in the shadows and don't let your balls drop enough to come out and say something, then I say, who do you speak for, Mr. Miscavige? Look, I just had a great idea. And forgive me for being disorganized, it just came to me. You have some contacts, Miscavige. How about we do a big media event, pay-per-view on a paid channel? All proceeds go to the charity of your choice. Say no to that. I'm reachable on the email address of at cgshere@gmail.com. That's C as in come, G as in get, S as in some. Come get some here, cgshere@gmail.com. You can tweet me at Miami6Man. You can tweet me at CGS here. I'm easy to reach. I'll be here, not hiding behind anything. Where will you be? In the meantime, next week, I start my 2-week interview with the interviewer of interviews, Mr. James Lott Jr. from AfterBuzz TV and Black Hollywood Live and 20,000 other projects, like the hardest working man in show business. And in 3 weeks, Harrison Smith, horror movie director and writer. Awesome guy. You won't want to miss it. Until then, for now, that about sums it up. Stay connected. Have a good week. I'm getting down to the sum of this, the sum of that, the sum of everything.
Hey, this is Chris. Thank you for checking out the YouTube version of one of my audio interviews. If you'd like to see more, leave in the comments which ones you'd like to see next. Believe it or not, this is not a cash-generating venture for me. I do this on my own, and it's a lot more work than it looks. So please show me that you appreciate the fruits of my labor by hitting that like button and subscribe and sharing with as many people as possible. That, in turn, will inspire and encourage me to do more faster and get it out there for you here on this YouTube channel. Otherwise, as usual, stay connected. And that about sums it up.